Cortisol is supposed to be nearly gone by the time your head hits the pillow. In your 20s it was. After 60, for many people, it simply isn't. And that gap, that failure to fully wind down, is quietly doing more damage to sleep, memory and heart health than most people ever suspect. Here is what makes this worth paying attention to. Researchers who measure cortisol in older adults consistently find that the evening drop, and what scientists call the diurnal slope, flattens with age. The morning spike stays, the evening valley gets shallower, and elevated cortisol at night doesn't just steal sleep. Over years, it chips away at immune function, bone density, and even the ability to consolidate memory. The cost is real, and it compounds quietly. What's less well known is that there is one specific category of habit, practiced consistently in the hour before bed, that the evidence suggests can measurably shift that cortisol curve downward. It doesn't require a prescription. It doesn't cost anything. And it takes under 10 minutes once you build it into your evening. We're going to look at exactly what it is, why it works, and how to make it stick. The habit is structured decompression, not just relaxing, but deliberately signaling to your nervous system that the day is over. That distinction matters more than it sounds. Sitting in front of a television does not do this. Scrolling a phone does not do this. The research on stress hormones is fairly clear that passive consumption, especially content that is stimulating, emotional or screen bright, keeps the sympathetic nervous system engaged even when the body feels still. What does work, according to studies on cortisol and sleep in older adults, is any quiet, intentional activity that asks the mind to settle rather than react. The three best evidenced examples in the research are slow diaphragmatic breathing, light progressive muscle relaxation, and brief expressive writing, sometimes called a worry offload or a done list. Each of these, practiced for as few as 8 to 10 minutes, has shown measurable reductions in evening salivary cortisol in adults over 55 in controlled trials. Let's take the breathing first because it is the simplest entry point. Slow breathing, and specifically extending the exhale to be longer than the inhale, activates the vagus nerve and directly dampens the activity of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is the system that produces cortisol. A 4-count inhale, a 6 or 8 count exhale, 10 minutes of that, sitting comfortably, eyes closed. That is not wellness fluff. That is a documented physiological shift. Progressive muscle relaxation works through a different door. By intentionally tensing and releasing muscle groups, starting at the feet and working upward, you give the nervous system a concrete physical signal that threat is absent. The body, which still runs on ancient survival wiring, interprets physical ease as safety. Cortisol drops in response. Studies with older adults have found this particularly effective for people whose stress tends to live in the body. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw, restless legs. The writing approach is perhaps the most surprising. A small but consistent body of research suggests that spending 8 to 10 minutes writing down either your worries, getting them out of your head and onto paper, or a short list of what actually got done today, can lower cortisol and reduce the pre-sleep mental chatter that keeps many older adults awake. The brain appears to treat written thoughts as more resolved than circling ones. The act of writing is a form of closure. Now here is something the research emphasizes that is easy to overlook. Consistency matters far more than perfection. A single evening of slow breathing will help you sleep that night, but the real benefit, the actual shift in the diurnal cortisol curve, builds over weeks of doing the same thing in the same quiet window each evening. The nervous system learns from repetition. It begins to anticipate the signal. The wind down starts to happen earlier, more easily, more completely. If you are wondering where to start, the most honest answer is with the one that feels least like a chore. If sitting still and breathing for 10 minutes sounds peaceful, start there. If your body carries tension, try the muscle relaxation. If your mind is the thing that races, the unfinished lists, the half-resolved conversations, try the writing. The mechanism differs slightly. The destination is the same, a nervous system that gets the message that it is safe to stand down. One practical note worth mentioning. Timing matters. The research suggests this habit is most effective when it begins at roughly the same time each evening and sits at least 60 to 90 minutes before you actually intend to sleep. That buffer gives cortisol the time it needs to fall. Think of it less like a sleeping pill you take at the last minute and more like dimming a light gradually. The body responds to gradual, predictable transitions, not sudden ones. There is something worth saying plainly at this point. None of this replaces a conversation with your doctor, especially if sleep problems are significant or long-standing. Cortisol dysregulation can sometimes signal medical conditions that deserve proper attention. What we're describing here is a lifestyle layer, something safe, evidence-grounded, and entirely your own to try. Think of it as giving your body a better chance each evening rather than leaving it to manage on its own. The quiet finding buried in the longevity research is this: the quality of your evening shapes the quality of everything else. Sleep is when the brain clears waste. It's when the cardiovascular system recovers. It's when memory consolidates. If cortisol is still elevated when all of that should be happening, the whole system runs below its potential. 8 minutes of intentional decompression won't fix everything. But done consistently, the evidence suggests it moves the needle on something that matters deeply, and you can start tonight.